Hello, everyone, and welcome to Please Find Attached. And today we're treating a very, what's the word now? Dicey topic.
Is it?
Yes. Should a CEO have an open door policy?
So basically, should they be friendly to staff?
Yeah. Simply put, how friendly should they be?
How friendly should they
to staff? And we like to start because you are the ancient of days in terms of workplace and places that you have worked. So, sir, I would like to defer to your experience, sir. What has your experience been and what side are you on? Should they be friendly?
I think the world has changed. Yeah.
Why must you start with?
You said ancient of days.
You sound
so
very.
You said ancient of days. So I'm
the world has changed.
So the world has changed. Frankly, today it's all about being, having flat structures. Not in all corporates, but it's all about being less formal. Mm-hmm. The lines are being blurred, to be honest. So I think, and when you consider the new people in the workforce,
call them their name.
When you consider the way they are
wired,
right? I think CEOs need to have that open door policy. Going through my career, I've experienced a mix of those CEOs. There are some CEOs that they keep a distance for a reason, and I've seen those that are bubbly, really friendly. Every morning they walk the shop floor, mix with people, ask your name. If there's a new person, ask your name, ask how the weekend was. I think it's really cool when a CEO can blend with the team.
Okay.
When they have a good rapport, open door policy with the team, I think it builds better culture. Obviously, in certain instances, maybe one crazy person might overstep the boundary.
Yeah.
But generally, I think it's actually better when they have that open doors policy.
If you were to look at the ones that you've talked about, you've had the bubbly, the withdrawn, they just even kill. Can you connect their approach to this kind of familiarity with the kind of productivity and motivation that came with that approach in terms of the way staff worked with them?
So it was for the CEO then that I experienced, who was really up there.
High and mighty.
He was. I think he was a natural introvert.
Okay.
Yeah, but luckily he had a deputy who had that bubbly spirit. Who was
humanized him.
Yeah, so he was the COO, and he did that job of connecting with people.
Okay.
Being around and being involved in day to day.
Okay.
While the CEO was, of course, executive, he did more of the PR stuff, working with legal, working with regulatory and so I think maybe through their personal characteristics, they were able to really work together.
But it balanced out.
Yeah. Because one was an introvert, one was an extrovert.
That is a 1 in a million case.
Yes. So that was my on average.
What has it been like? The one that was bubbly that did not have a good deputy, and the one that wasn't bubbly and did not have a deputy.
So I actually have a friend that is going through that now.
Okay.
And to be honest, it's not great.
Who is he in the picture?
So my friend is one of the senior leaders in the team. But the CEO is very quiet. He doesn't really come out. He doesn't mix. It's not like he doesn't have an open door policy, but he's really to himself generally. Okay. And the feedback I deliberately asked my friend questions. He's like, there's no real. Mm-hmm. I don't say there's no real culture, but there's no real team cohesion.
Okay.
In their team because
the CEO is not playing 10-10 with them.
Not.
Like how is there no culture or cohesion because the CEO doesn't mingle? So I mean, when we started our careers, How many times did we see the high and mighty
No, but
CEOs of those days, especially in the bank?
That's why. Remember when I started, I said these days.
These days, okay.
Don't compare it with.
Okay.
How long are you working? What? 40 years.
Just over a decade.
20 years.
You have worked for 4 decades.
So it's different, and again, it differs from the size of the organization. So this particular company is not a very large company, but that's what makes it weird, because it's not a large company. It's actually
Is the CEO the founder?
The CEO is the founder.
Yeah.
Well, so he should have.
I mean, we are now in a time where half the founders are tech. They are tech bros. They are nerds. Half of them are nerds. They are not naturally.
So
they are not naturally bubbly.
So that's not that you're assuming that it's a tech. No, it's not.
I'm just saying that.
Yeah.
We're in a time where most of the founders are tech, and half of them are like nerds. They are not generally the mingly types, and I've experienced that. You know, where we met, you can't say the CEO was lively and boisterous. You know,
he was to himself.
He was a nice guy, but he was to himself.
Yeah.
He was, live and let live, that kind of guy. So
and how was the culture?
I think the culture was shit. To put it in plain English. But I don't think it had to do with him. It had to do with 2 things. His entire leadership team, they were all boring people. The entire leadership team, if you take time, and they were all boring people. Then the kind of people that they even recruited based on the country of origin of the company, they are not like Nigerians also. They just want to do their work and go home. How many times did we have TGIF? Was it not us Nigerians that were doing TGIF for ourselves? They never had anything like that. They just wanted to do their work and go home. So for me, I don't think culture connects. But
at least it's a factor.
It's a factor. But more importantly, around this familiarity with the CEO thing, do you think CEOs have that fear that, you know how Nigerians are, give them an inch, they take a mile. If I start playing with, see finish, we enter. If you start laughing, and we see it happen, especially with this whole Gen Z thing that you talk about. There's a way you would tell a Gen Z, oh, anytime you need anything, walk into my office, or the Gen Z will just be walking in. Hello, sir. This is your director of HR. She's doing anyhow. I don't like her. I don't know what we're going to do about it. You're like, huh? So you need to, that's why I think some of them are like, you need to be careful.
And to be honest, they are busy. Their calendars are booked. So it's not necessarily that, they might not have an open door policy, but they're just very busy.
I know. So again, one of the places I worked, I think my MD then was busy, and it was not there are some people that form busy. They just, because he's MD now, you just tell his EA to book his calendar so he will look busy. No, the company was in a growth phase where he was always out for meetings, but every day he would do that word round.
So he exactly
was intentional.
So he fits the bill of that guy, of the CEO I said, that was more like an extrovert that would do the word round every day. Some just want to go in.
But you know what I realized?
And sit in the office.
What I realized eventually was that as he was doing that word round, he was taking feedback. Now, in hindsight, he was asking questions in a friendly way. Like,
getting
guys, this thing now, when is it going live now? But he was acting friendly. Like, guys, see now, this guy has gone on leave. We've been telling you, we need somebody to support him. We will not go here, but he has taken that. Maybe if complained to their Oga never told HR. He has heard it directly. He will go around. He had a talent. He will play with you, but there was still that. Would I say that fence where this is your MD?
You have the boundary there.
The boundary is the word. He will crack jokes with you. I remember when I resigned, he was on his word round. So he saw me. I hear you're going, just like that. So my unit head was there. And my unit head was, my friend, we keep quiet. Why you not here when he was planning to resign? And you were sitting right beside him. The boy went for interview and everything. And not telling me that no, that we do something. You do what? So he was that.
So I think it also has to do with the temperament of the CEO.
Yes, yes.
So if
Yeah, you're right about that.
if the CEO is a natural that has not come out of that, they might be great at their job, but they might need that extra help, maybe in a COO or a deputy, to drive the people, because sometimes you need that.
Yes.
And in big corporates, different functions take that sometimes. So it might not be the CEO itself. It might be HR. It might be marketing. It depends on how big or small the organization is. But for a smaller organization where the CEO needs to have that rapport with the team, at least.
So what do you now do? Like one of the questions I think is even in one of the things we have to discuss. Have you seen a situation where the CEO is too friendly, and then all his two ICs, like maybe the VPs, none of them is like that, and they're like, what's wrong with this guy?
He's too friendly, and
no, I don't want to say too friendly.
And the other people are stiff.
Because the VPs are stiff. He now looks like everybody's just trying to bypass their VPs just to make sure that they can just get to him to say something.
I've not experienced that, but that would be a very interesting environment.
As in
weird environment, actually.
So what then happened?
Have you experienced that?
I want to say yes, and but it wasn't all the VPs. It was like two of all the VPs. They just didn't understand why is this guy always chilling with these guys. Meanwhile, the VPs came from outside to join the company. Okay. So it might be a culture thing, like
so they've not blended with the culture.
Yeah. So they can't understand why is this guy casually mentioning the MD's name and saying, "Oh, when I go to that
spoke to Tony,
I'll branch Tony's office. That I just branched over. I just went to hail my Oga or say Oga, and they're like,
and especially if that layer they came from very stiff corporates
like banks. They can, banks, they wear their rank. They wear their, you can't try, like, if you are, maybe not even entry level, if you are even an assistant manager in a bank, you have no business seeing the ED, talk less of MD, like you and the ED, there's like 4 senior guys between you, so you can't even, how will you say you walked into to do what? Unless the ED sends for you, you're not doing anything. So you can understand those kind of people.
Which I remember I said, depending on the organization and the type of. So for those kind of organizations, how will you see CEO? How?
So that means this whole idea of seeing CEO is like his new age companies, and
so it depends on this. So smaller companies,
SMEs,
SMEs. But for your corporate, how? Where will you see?
We also need to be able to.
Except there's a forum, maybe.
What is a small company now? I know there are small companies with big revenue. So just 20 staff on one floor
and we're going hard money. And we're going more and more into that direction, especially with AI and all that. So, in fact, there was a story.
AI has been doing your work. I've been seeing flyers now. Everybody's doing marketing, vacancy, tournaments. It's AI that does all the adverts I've been seeing on YouTube in the last 1 month. AI. Every time I see the ad, I'm just like, it did. Waiting it go chop. Waiting it go chop.
Bro.
So we're getting there, but I think one of the good things about it is that it's not even a good thing. It's how it affects culture. So if people or companies keep laying off people because AI.
How did we move to this AI thing?
You started it now.
Because
you're confused. Marketing now. We're talking about small companies, few staff. Okay. And let's go back. I've gone off point. So back to CEOs being friendly. How does it impact layoffs? Because there's one experience you always talk about how you and the CEO were like 5 and 6, and it was the one that had to sack you.
So why are you talking like that?
Because the guy still sacked you. the guy still said, "No, you're such a nice guy, but I had to let you go." And he played Celine Dion for you. But you still feel good about it.
No, I still like him. Yeah, I still like him till today. I think at that point in time I was, of course, numb and like, how did this happen? You understand? And I went through the 5 stages of grief. But in retrospect, having also climbed myself and been in more senior roles, you, as a CEO, you have difficult decisions. There's this quote from Abraham Lincoln. I'm paraphrasing. They say, instead of the body dying, if you have to cut a limb to survive, you cut the limb.
Okay.
And that happens with businesses as well. If you are in a tough macroeconomic environment and the business, you have to choose between
layoffs or shutdown.
You have to lay off. It's a difficult position to be in. It's difficult for the people doing the firing. I think,
okay,
but it's obviously more difficult for the people that are being fired. So, but
would it matter if the CEO is very friendly, or at that point?
At that point in time, whether the CEO is friendly or not, if the CEO is your body, it's even worse, because at the end of the day, you're being fired, you're being laid off. But how they do the firing matters. So if they are humane, if they give you a cushion, I think it also softens the blow.
I find that we talk a lot about firing on this podcast. Kind of topics always firing.
It comes up firing here and there because
it's part of
corporate life. See, didn't they announce? One corporate announced about 30,000 this past week. So yeah, it happens.
And the company just do change like nothing happened. Business goes on.
And there was a story that after firing 30,000, they give the CEO millions bonus.
C'est la vie. Anyway, so back to the topic. Would you prefer a friendly CEO? Because there's also CEOs that are friendly, but they'll go back and they'll tell your guy to put fire.
Those are wicked people.
But they are friendly.
They are horrible people.
Or will you prefer a CEO that, look, he doesn't laugh, but
No. So I always like transparency. Say what you mean and mean what you say. Don't come lie to us. What will you
crack jokes?
What will you Yorubas call Ojwaye?
What do you mean, you Yorubas? I know Yoruba.
Well, okay.
That's topic for another day. Because it came out of us. We birthed you. Yes, now.
Topic for another day.
Another day, yes.
So I prefer transparency. Don't come and smile to us, lie to us, rub our head, then go behind and start telling them, fire them, or do the. Be transparent. Own it.
Okay.
So for me, I don't like two-faced CEOs.
You're getting triggered. Has it happened to you before? You're getting triggered like, I don't like two-faced. Yeah, it happened to you before, Abi.
Anyways.
So I realized that we've just been talking about the fun part. So what can go wrong if a CEO is too friendly? In real terms, like
I've actually been in a scenario, but this wasn't a CEO. He was a senior leader.
That doesn't count.
It doesn't count. It must be CEO.
Yes.
No, so it doesn't count.
Because many senior leaders can be assholes.
Okay.
Yes.
No, not being an asshole, as in he was friendly and couldn't take the difficult decisions because he was too friendly.
And so that's a good guy with a bad work ethic.
Yeah.
So I'm talking about the good guy that is doing well as a CEO, but people are faffing because he's nice. What are the downsides?
I say the same thing. It's more or less the same thing. So you're a good guy, you're too friendly, people are faffing, you need to take tough
It doesn't mean that you are not doing your work.
What is the CEO's work?
It's to lead people.
Exactly, and the people you are leading are not doing what they're supposed to be doing. So at the end of the day, he's not doing his job.
Yeah, but to be honest, he's not supposed to do everything down to everybody's level. I can be a friendly CEO because I know that, look, all of you report to your VPs. I just need to I can play with you. So, it doesn't mean I'm wicked. I can play with you, but when I put fire on my VPs, let them go and handle you the way they want to handle you. I'm the good cop.
So, because the time is fast spent, I'll just say this. So, you can put fire on your VP at the end of the day. Whether you're putting fire on VP, whether it's effective or not effective, if the entire organization is not doing what it should be doing, the buck stops with the CEO. So at the end of the
It
day,
doesn't stop with me. I will sack the VP. I will keep changing the VP. What me as how? I'm going to like, so I can befriend that MD I was telling you about.
yeah.
I realized that it was those of us from a certain level down that felt he was friendly. Like we liked him, we loved him.
But the seniors,
From a certain level, they're like it's just a normal, like it's not a big deal. So you can tell that
he was different in different scenarios.
yeah, it was different
Yes.
to those people.
It makes sense.
So
actually.
it's at the end of the day, it all worked.
It makes
all
sense
worked out.
because in that scenario, maybe you guys on a day-to-day you don't really interact with him
Yes, now
from a work perspective.
yeah, just walk around,
Walk rounds ahead. But the people that he's giving them,
So is that not? Won't you say that based on this topic, that's the ideal approach?
what?
So you're both a good guy and a performer. So you're a good guy. The people that matter in the company that you need to keep happy, they're the ones that you laugh with. From maybe a star manager downwards, they're the ones that you play with. They see you as a caring daddy, you know, everything. They like you. Then the few, maybe 15 that are senior, yeah, you show them that you better do your work. I'm not going to laugh with you.
I see why you think that would be an ideal scenario. I'm not saying it's not.
Mm-hmm.
You know me, I often say there's no one size fits all.
Mm-hmm.
So for that type of organization, maybe it works for them.
Okay.
It may not work for another type of organization.
Especially if you have fewer.
Exactly.
fewer
So for your CEO and for that time, it worked.
Okay.
What kind of CEO are you or will you be?
Do you know, I've asked myself that many times, and the first time I had an opportunity to actually lead a large team, like a country office, I found I wasn't too friendly. No, because what happens is that you now see people that you never thought you see in your life, all sorts of people, temperaments, behaviors, attitudes. As you're just trying to say, let me be nice, you just hear something like so at that point I used to praise the CEOs that found it, you know, they were okay to even laugh. Like, you really, but I think, you know, if I were to do it again, I will adopt this approach that I've just said. I'll be nice to, but I don't want problem. I'll tell the ones because you say, I don't want problem. It's the people that will suffer it, because at that time I found out that, okay, obviously as the new guy, I had to be friendly as the new guy. So when I now did my switch, I now started to look weird, like,
Where?
Jonathan, but by that time work had to be done. So I also that people started annoying me easily, like dude, how can you say this now? You know, I remember when I was just offline. I almost wanted to ask him, are you stupid? Like, how can you say this? Anyway, so I think again, depending on the environment, if you make me, I'm going to go to my default organization. If you make me MD of Chevron, I'll be happy. I'll be so happy.
You're just not
I'll just be laughing with them.
Just not serious.
You're having party every Friday. I'll be so happy. But if you make me MD of one small, just give me my money. I'm not taking rubbish. You think rubbish.
MD of Chevron is easy. That's why you're seeing it. You're just seeing oil company and money. That's all you're seeing.
But why will you be sad? You'll be happy with your staff.
I didn't see
you're just seeing them as dollar signs. They're even making money for me. Anyway, yes, that's me. What about you?
So for me,
so I think you're not a nice guy.
No, you've never seen me at work.
I've seen you.
Anyways, so for me, I'm a natural open person. Yeah, I'm naturally friendly, but I always have my boundaries.
Is that why you're strong in your face?
Yeah, because I'm keeping boundaries now. I'm keeping.
I'm keeping straight face. I always keep my boundaries.
I know. So you have to have boundaries. People need to know how far they can go with you.
But when you are in that place as country lead, you are very up and sprightly and jovial.
That's what I'm saying. I'm very friendly.
Yeah.
I'm naturally very
now
friendly.
you have changed. I think.
No, I haven't. I'm naturally.
I think
the office
I'm hope has touched me. Has touched you.
You're ridiculous. So I'm naturally friendly, but when it comes to work, you know, there are certain when it's time to work. You understand? When it's
I
time
think
to leave,
that's the basic principle.
yeah.
All right, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I'll see you next week.
Cheers. Have a good one.